Hello everyone, my name's Lachlan and welcome to another video. So I was at a convention this summer, and as usual when you are at a convention, cosplay inspiration hits. When it started to get dark, several people changed into horror cosplays. I love horror, so I decided to make my own nighttime cosplay. As this was my first one, and in addition to the other cosplays I was bringing to my next con, I didn't want to start out with something super difficult or something that's hard to pack. So I decided to make a version of Samara from The Ring. The Ring was one of the first horror movies I ever watched, and it stuck with me for a long time. Picture this. You're 10 years old, and you're at a friend's place. Despite it being the south of Sweden, it gets dark quickly in the winter months. So even if it's not later than 5 o'clock, it's pitch black outside. You and your friend are home alone, and she suggests you watch a horror movie. Her place is already kind of dark and quite messy, creating lots of unexplainable shadows. You're a little scared, but you agree. As you've finished, you've just seen a movie about a videotape that kills. And as this was back in the early 2000s, you actually watched it on a videotape. You're scared for your life by now, but your friend's parents have come home, and you have to walk home all alone through the woods. Evidently, that event left me with some mental scars, but I'm still glad it happened, because I don't know if I would be the same horror lover I am now if I hadn't experienced it when I was 10 years old. Back to the cosplay. I happen to already own a terrible quality long black wig, so all I really needed for this cosplay was the dress. The biggest part of this project would no doubt be making the actual dress look like hell. To do this, I had to weather it. I've weathered a bunch of fabric before, but I've never done it to white fabric, at least not to this extent. Weathered fabric is everywhere in movies and TV shows. Any fabric that looks worn or dirty or just lived in has been weathered. And it's pretty fun too, especially when you're doing cosplay. A lot of the items look pristine, and it's nice getting to make them feel more real, too. As I didn't feel I had to be super true to the source for this cosplay, I went to the dollar store to see if they had a white dress I could work on. They didn't, but they did have these white shirts, so I bought 2 of them and sewed them together, creating a fairly wonky dress. Needless to say, I didn't really care what the dress looked like right now, I just really needed that blank canvas to work on. After she was sewn together, I gave her a long, relaxing bath with some tea bags. To make white fabric look dingy, tea bags or used coffee grounds work great. It gets this brown tint, and if you don't put the fabric in evenly, the discoloration won't be even either. I used boiling water for this, and the warmer the water, the more discolored the fabric will be. Once she was good and dry, it was time to get destructive for real. I wanted to make sure it looked like the dress had been down a well for a couple of years, so the edges of the sleeves and the dress had to look worn down. I grabbed a razor and went to town. Sandpaper works for this as well, generally creating a little less damage than a straight up razor, but I wanted maximum damage for this. After the dress was sufficiently holy, I wanted a little bit more discoloration than just from the tee. I used black fabric paint to darken the damaged areas, not caring all too much about where it ended up, just that the holes and frayed edges were all darkened. I had originally thought I'd be done with the weathering after the fabric paint, but I wanted a little bit more discoloration of it. I decided to give ink a try. It worked pretty well, although ink could not at all withstand the fabric getting wet in the same way the paint and the tea staining could. It was very volatile and very fun to work with. And then it was done. All I had to do was wait for my next convention, which was Confusion in Gothenburg.
Ready whenever. Yep, continue going that direction, it's great. Awesome. Nope.
Fuck. Funnily enough, I realized that my cosplay was only a representative of Samara from the first American The Ring. Sadako in the original Japanese Ringu has a pristine white dress. And Samara in The Ring 2 also has a much cleaner dress. I was actually very pleased with the result. Although I didn't wear the cosplay that much during the con, partly because it was very hard to walk around in, and poor Wednesday had to carry around my stuff almost all the time. You're not that creepy when you're carrying around a tote bag with your change of clothes in. I also felt very exposed in it. The whole cosplay is just the wig and the dress, and honestly I felt like the wig was covering me up better than the dress was. I also couldn't see anything, but I did hear a lot of people's reaction when they walked past, like whoa, and stuff like that, which is really all I want in a cosplay. I do think I will bring her to another convention, but probably in the summertime. Confusion, which is where we were, is located in a museum, and almost all of the locales are inside. Compared to Nakon, which was where I got my inspiration, which has these long stretches of streets in between all the buildings of the convention. That's the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!